Welcome to Swiftly Spoken, a fan-made Taylor Swift podcast in which we break down her lyrics, deep dive into full album retrospectives, and theorise about what may be coming next. We are your hosts, Lisa and Cameron, and in this episode, we're going to be reacting and deep diving into what we know about Taylor Swift's 11th studio album, The Tortured Poets Department. So I can't believe we're here. Honestly, that's how we should start off, because it's just...
Oh, I know.
crazy.
I know. I can't believe it. Like, the funniest thing is, as ever, we've said a million times, we like plan out all these episodes, and we'd kind of planned out like the next couple of weeks, and you know, leading up to not Reptor, sorry, is in my head, Reputation, but leading up to Era's tour Tokyo, we were kind of like, okay, look, let's potentially maybe get some Reputation themed episode ideas just kind of in the back burner in case we have to pull them out.
Yeah.
But we thought, you know, this week will be fine. We planned a nice episode that I've wanted to do for ages. Like, I've been like, can we do this episode? Yeah. Finally, the week we were going to do it.
We can't.
And then one week into our episodes, I literally put out one episode for 2024, and we've had to like derail all of our plans and jump into TS11, which was not that was not on our bingo card.
It was, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
Happily, we and I really do think that our bingo card, if you haven't seen that episode, if you're joining us on this first, you know, if this is your first episode, which it might be for some, as this is big news, so these episodes do kind of like go out to more people. If you haven't seen our bingo card episode, you can check it out. We'll link it. But I do think this is going to be the trend for the year, in which we'll have things right, but not really, but kind of.
Yeah.
This is one of them.
This is just bonkers. Like, it was so funny because I was just so knackered on Sunday. I thought, you know what, like, normally I always stay up for award shows. I'm always up, but I thought I'm just I've got work tomorrow. I need to be sensible. Let's just like, I was thinking, you know, she'll get like pop vocal, maybe song. I'll deal with it in the morning. It'll all be fine. Like, nothing major's going to happen. And I woke up to your message, and I'm sure you said something like, you know what I mean, you're in for a big surprise. And I was thought, oh my God, Taylor's... Yeah, I was like, oh my God, Taylor's won Album of the Year. So I then like scrolled through Instagram and went to like an update account and scrolled right down, and nothing had loaded, so I hadn't seen anything, and was generally just like scrolling through, kind of seeing it all, like Taylor's reaction to certain artists, and then, you know, and then obviously got to her winning Best Pop Vocal, and I was like, oh my God, then watched the speech and was like, what? And then I think I was like live reacting with you, of like sending you, oh my God this, oh my God that, and then had to literally buy the album because I was like, oh my God, I need to get this version, and hadn't even sunk in before I'd even found out that she'd won Album of the Year. It was just so much information. It was so much.
And that starts off with her, the afternoon previous to all of this going down, changing her profile picture to black and white. And obviously that had all of us believing that Reputation, Taylor's version, was coming. We were all in a frenzy, basically. You and I, we had already discussed, we kind of thought the Reputation was coming, so we had ideas in the back burner. Everybody was like, okay, this is it. You know, it all made sense, especially because of everything leading up to this point has been very Reputation coded. Also,
yeah, the Time magazine and stuff like that, like the mention of the vault.
Although we had been picking up strange vibes, and that is why we put TS11 on our bingo card at all, to be honest with you. So then a really interesting thing happened was the code on her website was purposefully changed, which is also really Reputation coded, because back in the day, in the Reputation era, a lot of people, when things were changing on her website, now that wasn't purposeful, that was really just like people being crazy, as we always are as Swifties, went into the code and tried to kind of look for what the next album was going to be when she was posting those snake videos and things like that, right?
Yes.
They didn't come up with much at that point. Again, it wasn't purposeful, but last night, or a few nights ago, it was purposeful. It was on purpose. It was ready for you to kind of into.
Because the funniest thing was like that, obviously it said like error message, but at the bottom still had like the cookie policy and like this and accessibility, and it was like, if a website's down, it doesn't have all of the like, you know, FAQs at the bottom, like you know, it's like, it was just like, well, clearly this is not an error message, is it, if you've got your cookie policy at the bottom and stuff like that just doesn't happen.
I absolutely love that though, because it is kind of like, obviously we didn't completely pick up on it, although I will get into that in a second, but it was... And she always kind of does this in a certain way, gives like the core fans, or the people who are mad enough to be on her website 24/7 or looking into these things, a little hint at what was happening.
Exactly. And also it meant that she was almost like, it almost because it created the frenzy. And honestly, when that changed, every post on Instagram was about Reputation.
Oh, yeah.
Every single one. Like,
yeah.
across everything. It was all about Reputation. That's all I saw. And it was almost like then it gave people a reason, like, oh my God, I better tune in. But I just didn't think, part of me just never, I thought, she won't. And also I was thinking with the Grammys, unlike lots of other award shows, they genuinely don't know that they're going to win anything. Like, they find out as they are there, whereas lots of award shows, they're often told so that they appear and so they can do stuff. And when she announced Midnights, it was clear that she knew she was up for Video of the Year. Like, that was obvious, but it was like there's no guarantee that she's going to win, so therefore there's no guarantee that she has a time to announce. So I just generally thought nothing was going to happen, and then woke up and thought, oh my God, I missed the biggest award show. Like, what on earth? It was bonkers. So, absolutely crazy.
Going back to the website, she did, like we said, she had the error code up on there, and then were a few letters that could be unscrambled into the word red herring, which is obviously like something that is blatantly obvious, but actually a distraction for something else. And that is what Reputation Taylor's version was for us all. We were also
yes
engrossed in this idea of that coming, that we were so caught off guard by what actually was coming. And then something that I just want to put out there, don't know if it means anything anymore or if it is just we kind of know what it is, but there were words also in the code, and they're all in different languages. Funnily enough, they were in languages that are spoken in her next few tour stops: Japanese, German, Spanish, Portuguese. And it's interesting to see that anyway, they were all translated into English, and they translated to words such as chairman, bruises, veins, cadence, talisman, love bombs, muse, ink, evidence, and a few other words that all basically came to then be mentioned in the lyrics that she posted from, or that, we're not sure if they're lyrics, but we guess they are.
Lyrics, prologue kind of thing, yeah.
So we'll get to that in a minute and we'll read that out. So it's interesting. I just want to put that out there just because it is interesting to me that they were all in different languages, and coincidentally, or not, the languages that she is about to, of the places that she's about to be in.
Yeah, no, and the thing is that was kind of the last thing that I saw was the website. So it was like when it was like, oh my God, that was such a cool way to make people tune in and be like, what's going to happen? And I think obviously we have to kind of start off by saying obviously Taylor won Best Pop Vocal Album.
Yes.
And that was when she then announced TS11, and the title to me I'm still like learning, the Tortured Poets Department. And that was obviously clear that she didn't know that she was going to win Album of the Year, because she would have waited till then if she'd known. Like, it was almost like she's like, this is my chance, I'm going to power this out.
This is the 13th Grammy, this is my chance. I do think... Yeah. So I watched it in live time, which was crazy of me because I don't tend to do those things. Usually it's the other way around for us. But I had the opportunity, I had the chance to be able to do it. I went to sleep before, and then I woke up, and I don't know, I was kind of like, I was awake enough to watch the whole thing basically, and I do think that she was waiting for the chance if it came about for that 13th Grammy, and it did. And when she got up and said it, I was absolutely losing my mind. And then obviously to cap the night off with Album of the Year, she was extremely...
Oh, that was incredible. Yeah.
Shaken over. She hadn't prepared a speech. She hadn't prepared anything because she didn't expect it at all. I really don't think she did. Very deserving album, and I'm so glad and happy that she made history. The first person ever.
Oh yeah,
to win
100%. It was amazing. Oh, the fact that she won Album of the Year again is just nuts. But I'm so glad she did, and just crazy that now, she's won Album of the Year, and it's kind of all. It's nice. I feel like the Midnights era was way too short, and I'm really sad that it's over. I really wish it kind of extended a little longer into the year, but it's such a nice way to finish off the era, like to bookend it. Honestly, with
what an iconic
winning Album of the Year.
Yeah, to
like how incredible.
At an amazing award show when you're getting the biggest honour, and to finish the era and introduce the next one in basically a very similar fashion, but getting Album of the Year for the 4th time. I really don't think she expected that was going to be possible, especially so soon after.
Oh no.
But when the quality is there, it's there.
Exactly. But yeah, so I guess now we just get into all things the Tortured Poets Department, because there is a lot to divulge, and
we're only 2 days in, but we already have quite a lot of information, honestly. So obviously we know the name, which is interesting. It's her first ever name that is like 4 words long, and her only second ever name for an album that is more than 2 words long, because obviously we have Speak Now. The rest of them are all one word. Well, Taylor Swift, I guess you can count
Taylor Swift,
as
yeah.
2 words. In my head, it's debut.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Debut, yeah, exactly.
So all of them are kind of like 1-2 words at the most. And now this one is like 4 words. It's quite wordy as well. When she said it, I was like, you what now?
Yeah, what? Yeah.
What? Very Lana Ray of her, to be honest with you.
Yes, there's a tunnel Ocean Boulevard where there's a big hole and it's under a bridge. You know what I mean? Like, Lana Del Rey's albums are like 5 different pages long.
So what do you think of the name and the vibe of the overall kind of like the aesthetic that it's giving off? I am absolutely enamored by it. It is very much my aesthetic. I love the academic vibes of it all. How are you feeling?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I'm loving it. Like I quite like, because I think we said before, like, what, because obviously each era is like a colour, and it's like, I was like, what colour is she gonna do? Like, she's kind of used a lot, like, you know, she already had to repeat blue a couple of times, and then change one of the blues to a green, you know, debut's like, oh, it's a green, but like, I think white is such a cool, I was like, oh, I hadn't even thought of that. You know, I know that's a really dumb thing to say.
I mean, I'm going to be insufferable, by the way. Just heads up to you and to everyone. I will be insufferable in this era. White being the colour is so interesting. A colour of purity, a colour associated to also surrender, a colour also associated to like a fresh start, starting anew. And can't help but mention this here as well, a typical wedding colour. So a lot going on there, just from the colour that she chose, which I also...
Exactly.
I'm really excited about.
And then the cover is just... It was so, like, I was just like, oh my gosh, it just felt like nothing... Like, Midnight's was the same, like, because obviously it was slightly... You know, it wasn't like, didn't fill the whole square as such. And then this one's the same, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this feels so different to, you know, what, anything else, any other cover. And it's so weird that she started off her career with them always having the album title on. Then we went Folklore, Evermore, Fearless, Red... with just nothing, and now we've gone back to, like, you know, Midnight's 1989, all, and now obviously the Torture Poets Department all having the title on again, which is just like really weird that we've kind of done like a 360 of back to kind of where we started. But yeah, I really like it. I think it's so interesting. There's something kind of intriguing about it. The fact you can't see her face. It's a bit 1989-esque, you know, like with the border and
what I was going to bring up. I was going to say it's kind of reminiscent of that moment, much more vulnerable, obviously. She's like
vulnerable, a bit more sexy, a bit more kind of sensual, and
you know, it's definitely really aesthetic as well, more sepia toned than black and white. And as you already mentioned, white is the color that we are associating to this era, which I think is really, really nice choice. I guess we can get into some of the details that were first revealed just from being able to kind of like pre-save or purchase the album. So we know, obviously, that the date it is coming out is the 19th of April. So not too long away, only about 10 weeks. If you start this week,
I know,
1 album a week and get there for
oh my god, that makes me feel sick. Oh my god, that's crazy. Oh my god, yeah, because I'm glad that it wasn't too long, because I hate, like, Red, Taylor's version. Oh my god, yeah, that's a couple of months away. That's not long at all. Like, but do you think, while we're getting onto this, obviously, you know, we've got so much more to divulge, but quickly while it's in my head, do you think we'll get a lead single, or do you think it'll be like previously where it's just it's all at once?
God, whatever I say, she'll do the opposite. I know that. But I feel like that she hasn't been doing lead singles up until now, and I don't think she's going to,
because we haven't had like a lead single treatment to an album since Lover, really.
No, not really.
That was the last one. Folklore, Evermore, it all came out at once.
Exactly, yeah. Evermore, Midnights. I guess some of the Taylor's versions, we did have one song before we had others, but again, it doesn't really count in the same way. So that's interesting. I would like there to be, but at the same time, I kind of like this thing that she does. Obviously, Taylor has always very much treated a whole album as
a project.
That is like a proper piece of work that is to be consumed altogether. That's why she wins Album of the Year. I can't lie. The Grammys love that. They eat up like thematic albums, the ones that are really you know, nicely put together. Oh, just a quick fact as well, just an interesting one that I was thinking about. Every single album of Taylor's that has 13 tracks has won Album of the Year. Folklore is an extra because it had more.
Yeah.
The 3 that had 13 are the 3 that won. There aren't any albums that had 13 and haven't won. So that's just crazy.
Yeah, because I think because the Grammys they like it when it feels like it's
not too long,
very much
contained.
Yeah, and also very much like thought out, and like I want this very what's the word, like specially selected almost. It's like they're hand selected. Of, I'm having these ones, and they like a concept. They like they like almost like a bit of a story behind it. Like with 1989, it's like pop music, and she like did away with country, and it was this whole kind of pop concept album. And Folklore was this like the folk album that was like in the woods, and they love that kind of, and Midnights was like 13 Sleepless Nights. Exactly. They love that kind of idea, and Fearless was again was kind of like these songs that like being doing some jumping in with, even though you had it wasn't with being without fear, it was having fear but doing it anyway and saying what you wanted. So they love that kind of thing.
Definitely.
So this is, to be fair, this is very tailored towards that so far. Honestly, it seems like surely she can't win an album of the year again, you know what I mean? Like it's like, oh my god, you just won.
Who are core fans, we will always be rooting for her. Obviously we'll have our favourite albums, we'll have our least favourite albums, we'll have our opinions. Like Saw on the Beach, I'm sure it might be a Grammy award winning, but it's still not your cup of tea. It is what it is, you know what I mean? Same thing with Lover.
Yeah.
It's just some things we will always be rooting for her. But you're right, it is very much aesthetically pleasing, I have to say. Whether it will be sonically cohesive enough, we'll see.
Yes,
we do know that there are 16 tracks, and then we have a bonus track, which we know the name, we knew the name of before anything else, which is another interesting thing.
Yeah.
She wanted to specifically promote that there is a song called The Manuscript. Again, the manuscript, the aesthetic of it all, of like poets, society, and very linguistic, very academic. You get a bookmark. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I know. I was slightly confused, and like it seems like a lot on like what I've kind of looked of like the CD. It says manuscript like everywhere. That seems like a big concept, but it's like a bonus track. And yeah, it's weird that was revealed to us so early on.
Yeah, it also does make me feel that we might be in store for other versions of the album.
Yes, with other
a different
tracks.
Bonus track and a different artifact / instead of the manuscript, maybe something else. I don't know. I get that feeling. We'll see.
Oh, 100. Oh, yeah. 100%. I'm getting that feeling as well. Like, because it's just weird that that is such a strong part of the marketing.
It's a key part of the story, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But interesting to say the least. But I love the album cover, the concept. I just think it's so cool, so unique. Every time she does something, I'm like, how on earth have you come up with another concept that's totally different to everything you've ever done before? Like, how have you done that?
So creative, and she has such a good way at curating a certain aesthetic. So I guess the next big thing we talk about, and we might have had to have left it there if we had recorded too soon, but luckily we left it for a few more hours, and Taylor has now published also the track list, the entire track list, which if you compare this to Midnight, we only found out like bit by bit, trickle by trickle.
I know, and I'm slightly annoyed because, as ever, someone on TikTok has to ruin it and has to reveal something, they just to have a little viral moment, they have to ruin it for everyone else, because it's like, what did Taylor have in normally track lists? Yeah, it seems like they were like, oh my god, it's been leaked, let's just get that out now, just so because normally it's a bit like with the Speak Now Vault, like that was ruined because some idiot on TikTok decided to ruin it, it's just, it is frustrating.
People can't seem to hold in when they find out a piece of information, but
exactly,
it does create some hype, but at the same time it does sometimes ruin it. I don't know.
It ruins,
Let's hope that it wasn't too ruined and they just wanted to get it out and get it out, fixed.
And let's hope that there wasn't like a big plan behind, revealing because when you think of like how we've had previous, like we've had vaults and Google searches and,
Midnights.
This and that. Midnight's Mayhem. Like, I just hope that there wasn't anything like that plan that was ruined. But nevertheless, it's still really exciting to have, and the fact we've got it this quick makes it feel real as well. Like, when it was first announced, with everything with Grammys, it was enough. We had so much to process with the Grammys, plus announcement of an album, plus a CD, cassette, a deluxe CD, vinyl, and it was like, what the hell? Yeah, and then it looks incredible. Yeah, I can't wait to see it. But then it was like, but then it doesn't feel real, you know, because you're seeing all this stuff for the first time. You're like, what? But then getting a track list makes it feel so much more tangible and real, and seeing, you know, how many tracks there are and what they're called. And we'll get into that now because
feel for the story being what's about to unfold. She's told,
yeah.
Although, bit of a disclaimer before we do get into this track list. Everything that we're about to say, we're going to look at, you know, we're going to go through the track list. We're going to look at possible relations between previous lyrics. We're going to look into things which I'm sure many of you may have already seen floating around the internet. As you know, again, we are Swifties, we like to deep dive into these things and give our opinions on them. However, Taylor is very crafty with track listing and with names of songs. For example, just with Evermore, she said it herself, happiness is anything but happy. Champagne Problems is far from bubbly, I remember she said. And when you first see it, you're going to be like, okay, you think the story's going to go one way and then it goes a completely different way. And that is very typical with Taylor. So watch out for that. We can't tell anything really, but we're still going to chat about that. So yeah, I guess we should get into the track list and the features. That's another big thing. We found out features.
Yes, and they are rogue. Like,
I love it though.
Post Malone and Florence and the Machine, like they couldn't be so further away from each other in terms of like them as artists. In terms of like Florence and the Machine is very alternative and, you know, slightly indie, and obviously Post Malone is like rap. You know what I mean? Like that's just like what?
But having said that, apparently not so long ago he said that he was working on a more country-leaning project and trying to like go down a bit more in that route. Apparently that is what I read about him. So yeah, but I do love Post Malone, I have to say, especially his era. You know, I'm a fake fan in a way because I'm just about to name the most famous songs. But yeah, Circles, Sunflower are lovely songs a lot. If it's anything like that. Also, it's funny because Post Malone, there was a big moment during the Lover era where everyone thought that she was going to collaborate with him. And then it never came about.
Yes. It was after the decade.
Yes.
Where they like she like randomly ran up to him, didn't she? Gave him like a massive hug, and it was like, huh? What was, you know what I mean? Like, you two have never interacted before. Like, what's that about? But clearly they're good friends, which is so fun, and it's fun to like the features that are a bit different. Like, you know, I love Ed, I love Lana, and I love Jack and Aaron, but you know, we're quite used to those.
Exploring,
yeah. But I like something a bit different, like Florence and the Machine. Like, what's Florence and the Machine going to bring, and what's Post Malone going to bring? Like, that's exciting. You know, they're kind of new and
very exciting.
You know, but I guess we should get into the titles, like get into them quick. So it looks like they're split across 4 different sides. I'm not sure if that's just the vinyl.
Yeah, I believe
like it's the sides of the vinyl, or if it's
the vinyl. Yeah.
The vinyl. Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was going to be a bit like Casey with Starcross, where it was like set across 3 different acts, and it was like story. Yeah, I wasn't sure if maybe that was what it was that it was kind of telling a story. But anyways, it's set across 4 different parts. So side A is Fortnite featuring Post Malone, which obviously we've kind of said, which is exciting. That's what is that for me? Title isn't really giving much away. I think the most exciting thing is Post Malone.
Interesting, because Fortnite is a very British word, unless it's referring randomly to the game, which I don't think it is.
Yeah, which I don't think. Yeah,
it's a very British word. Obviously, it means a period of 2 weeks, and very interesting choice to put a very British word at the beginning of all this. I'll leave it at that.
Yes, that is definitely interesting. Next is obviously the title track, which is exciting that we have a title track, because obviously Midnights doesn't have a track called that, and we've had a couple of albums like 1989 and Reputation, even though it's mentioned in Reputation. But anyways, we don't have a title track, so that's fun. The Tortured Poets Department, and I just don't know how she's going to say, like, how is she going to sing that? It doesn't sound like something that would sound good. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's that weird to say that, but it sounds a bit clunky, doesn't it?
The possible lyrics that she posted, because when she posted, you know, the album announcement, we also got like some lyrics written out. Are they lyrics? Are they part of the prologue? We're not sure at the moment. I do feel like they are lyrics.
Are they a poem?
I definitely think, because it sounds like it.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure about the Sincerely, the chairman of the Tortured Poets Department. But anyway, I'm going to read through them because they might be part of this song, I think. And they are. And so I enter into evidence, my tarnished coat of arms, my muses acquired like bruises, my talismans and charms, the tick 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 of love bombs, my veins of pitch black ink, all's fair in love and poetry. And then we get, Sincerely, the chairman of the Tortured Poets Department, which doesn't fit. I don't think she's going to say that, Sincerely, the chairman of the... I don't think so. I don't know, though.
Maybe. You never know.
I mean, those are definitely lyrics. but I'm not sure. I mean, I'd never imagined she was going to sing Anti-Hero the way that she did and rhyme it with mirror.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So, I don't know.
Yeah.
But,
or Cardigan and Cart again.
Yeah, so you never know with Taylor, but somehow maybe she will sing that word. Or it might be one of those songs that don't have the name of the song actually uttered in the song.
Yes, potentially, yes. Well, track 3 then is My Boy Only Breaks His Favourite Toys. Ooh, I think
bad boy,
a certain
toy.
person, yeah, exactly, yes, is going to be referenced. And there are so many, even just from these titles, the things that they link to is nuts.
A lot of Lover links.
That, for example, Pulling Into Lover, a lot of Reputation. So yeah, then obviously track 4 is Down Bad, which sounds exciting. You know what I mean? That's kind of when you're really like down for someone, like you're really into someone, isn't it?
That it might give us a chronological kind of story. Not sure, because like, it does go
potentially
a bit. But I feel like this first side that we're kind of talking about, again, I do think that is probably only related to the vinyl, but we can still comment in that way because it makes it easier. So this first part, it does feel like it's a very introduction to the story, I think.
Yes,
I don't know, though, the Tortured Poets department being right there is a bit iffy. We'll see.
Whereas, this next section, the side B section, they seem to have similar vibes. We've got So Long London as track 5, so we've got our new track 5, which is exciting. And being called So Long London, it sounds like it's going to rip our hearts apart. Like, obviously, in parallel with London Boy, I feel like this song is just going to, like...
I do.
It's just
a
dagger.
Absolutely incredible already. The mention of London, we know, was a very important part of her life for a long time. It gives me very much the vibes of the beginning of You're Losing Me. Like, we loved this house because of all the light, and now we sit in the dark. I sit in the dark and wonder if it's time.
Yeah.
I like walking away from that afterwards. Oh.
Yeah, I think this song, for me already, the one that stood out was that, and I feel like, oh my god, I'm going to love this song. I love a track 5. I love a sad song. I love songs about London, so this seems to be ticking all the boxes. But then the next track also really intrigues me, which is But Daddy, I Love Him, which I believe is a reference in Ariel.
Yes.
Where she says it, and lots of people are talking about that.
In The Little Mermaid, Ariel... Yeah, in the film, The Little Mermaid, Ariel does say to her dad, Daddy, I love him. Obviously referring to Prince Eric, because she wants to go and live with the humans, and she does so, trading her voice. And we know that Taylor, very famously, also dressed as her childhood hero for the...
yes.
Years ago.
Yes, I'd forgotten about that.
She dressed as Ariel. So, again, could it be actually a reference to something that happened at that point in her life? Could it just be a reference to losing your voice in one way or another? Swapping something for love? It's very interesting. I love the layers to this already.
Oh yeah, there's so many layers. And to be fair, this whole section, there seems like a lot of layers. Like Fresh Out the Slammer.
Oh yes, I love this one.
Yes, like fresh out of jail. You know what I mean? Like that is nuts.
You can
like
be my jailer.
You know what I mean? So Long London, But Daddy, I Love Him, Fresh Out of Summer. They all have the same vibe, don't they? It feels like they're all kind of telling the same thing. Like, but yeah, you could be my jailer, and then I'm Fresh Out the Slammer. I feel like this song's going to be like a big pop song. I'm kind of getting that vibe. Like Down Bad and Fresh Out the Slammer feel like kind of like...
I get that.
You know what I mean? Like bejeweled songs.
Sound a bit more, let's say, casual compared to songs like the Tortured Poets Department and I don't know, things like that. I can do it with a broken heart. I don't know, The Alchemy.
Yeah.
They sound quite like folklore Evermore, whereas Down Bad sounds more midnightsy.
Yes. They're more quill pen.
Yeah.
Which is something we will get into at some point, whereas these ones are a bit more like glitter gel pen, you know?
Kind of, yeah, I don't know. But I get what you mean. I'm picking up on that same vibe, but again with Taylor, you could never tell. It might be like the most devastatingly tragic.
Oh, it'll probably be like it'll be sadder than So Long London. You'll be like, why isn't this track 5? And then we were being like, yeah, it's going to be a big pop song.
But it's giving also Fresh Out the Summer is giving like the light of freedom on my face, Getaway Car vibes as well.
Yes. Oh my god, there's so many things to unpack. Then track 8 in the side B section is Florida with 3 exclamation marks, and this is the one featuring Florence and the Machine. And Florida is quite interesting because I believe that it was the first night of the tour when obviously the news was announced that Taylor's relationship had kind of ended, and I believe also there was lots of problems that happened that night. I think Taylor herself kind of said like,
it was cursed.
Tonight's just one of those nights. Like, so that might be a reference to that, you know, fresh out the slammer, like I've just come out of jail, and then Florida, that was kind of the night when she was.
I love that it has 3 exclamation points. I love the Florida feature here. I honestly adore her music as well. I think that something really, really good is going to come out from this collaboration.
100%.
Yeah, the vibes
fingers
are immaculate.
Crossed.
But yeah, I really love...
Yes.
It's not just Florida, it's like, Florida!
Yeah, like, oh my God, get me there. Oh, exciting. Yeah. And then side C, we have Guilty as Sin, ? This one
is the one that I'm most intrigued about. Like, what are you guilty of? Who's guilty?
Yes.
I love that.
Like, yeah, there's so much to unpack. Track 10, Who's Afraid of Little Old Me?
Yes. So again,
which to me is giving like Archer vibes.
Okay. This one is quite a curious one because a lot of parallels are being struck. So people have kind of related it to Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, which is a play. And the name of the play is actually a pun on another song, Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Wolf, which is from The Three Little Pigs originally. So obviously with the reference to Virginia Woolf instead of the Big Bad Wolf, and in this case, Taylor, I guess, is possibly referring to herself. Interesting parallel, I have to say. Again, it is also very interesting because there is a 1966 film adaptation which features as the main actors Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton, which Taylor has also made very specific references to in Reputation, nonetheless. Another Reputation reference. And the story basically examines like the breakdown and the frustrations of a middle-aged couple's marriage. Putting this together because
we're clutching at straws,
putting the names together, who's afraid of. But again, interesting parallels nonetheless.
Then track 11 on side C is I Can Fix Him, No Really I Can. Like, that just sounds so sad, doesn't it? Like, I can fix him, no, I can't. Like, just holding on to something that you know, like deep down isn't really gonna... You know,
nothing's going to change.
Hold on. Yeah. And then track 12 is an interesting one. LOML, which is Love of My Life, I believe. Wow. I'm not best when it comes to...
Supposedly that is traditionally the acronym's meaning, yes. However, I think Taylor is going to bait us. I think so. It might not be because it's also not in capitals. It's literally LOML, all in like lowercase. So it could be a very like, oh yeah, you're the love of my life, not really low. Or...
Maybe.
Loss of my life? I don't know.
Loss of my life, yeah. Yeah, you're the biggest loss of my life.
Yeah, like
you're the biggest loss of my life.
Completely different.
Yeah, maybe.
Losing something. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah, that is very typically Taylor to kind of spin something and
maybe bait and switch.
Make it mean something else.
Maybe.
Potentially. I Can Do It With a Broken Heart, or I love this title. Like, this for me feels like Bejeweled, you know, where it's like I miss you, but I miss sparkling. Like, I can still do this. That's like, funny, that's the kind of vibe I'm getting.
Because a lot of people have been mentioning, and I can see it, that maybe this is a reference to the Eras tour. Basically, her going out and saying,
yes, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. Even like, I can still go out there and perform. That's the vibe I get. Like, you know, like, yeah, I miss you, but I'm still gonna go out and perform a 3-hour show and sing these songs. And, you know, that was when, like, during kind of that time when Taylor was performing songs and you could see the emotion that was pouring out of her and how when she'd sing, Taylor's always done this where she kind of tells us how she's feeling by the surprise songs or the songs she's kind of performing. And it was very clear when all the news kind of came out. She was very specific on the songs she was performing, and it was very obvious what she was kind of trying to emit and say. And you could see as she was singing them, the emotion that she was literally oozing out of her. And I get that vibe, from this title, that's potentially a reference to that.
Incredibly brave, the immense amount of vulnerability and the strength and bravery to go out there and just bear all and, you know, speak about, you know, heart-wrenching things that you go through in life, not just this album, but everything that she's ever, to air out her deepest, darkest vulnerabilities and worries and insecurities in Anti-Hero, I think just the same. And I do think that is why Taylor is such a beloved artist, because so many people can relate to her. She's just so real. She's just so very relatable.
And it's like one of those things where it's like, when it's so specific and so vulnerable, even though it's obviously so specific to her experience, because of that, it's then so easily relatable and specific to other people's experience, and they can, you know, see themselves in that. And that's been a case since, you know, the start of her career. And it's incredible, the vulnerability. Yeah, and I think this album is going to probably be one of her most personal and vulnerable yet. Like, just from these titles, I'm already getting that vibe. which is, you know, just an insane, like, to pour yourself into something is just bonkers. Like, you know, the amount of kind of strength that takes and vulnerability to be able to do that, and then therefore put that out in the world and have people criticize it and have, you know, even have us chat and being like, oh my God, what's this? You know, like, and obviously we're doing it hopefully in a respectfully way, and that's what we're trying to do. But, you know, often sometimes the discussions are very unrespectful and very disrespectful. Sorry, that's probably the best way to say it. So it's like, yeah, that, you know, you're opening yourself up, but I'm so glad that she does and is so vulnerable with us. And I love that. And because, you know, there's nothing better than when she, you know, Taylor just writes incredible lyrics and vulnerability, and it's just so, I'm rambling, but it's exciting. I can't wait. So the next track is track 14, and that's The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived. Oh dear, I think someone's in for, you know, a grilling.
Oh God.
And obviously this does, like, directly reference, like, you know, the loudest woman this town's ever seen, like, to the smallest man, you know.
Ooh, oh God, it's a bit scary, that one. Honestly, if I knew that I'd be in danger, I'd literally, like, hide away.
Yeah, I'd be avoiding track 14 for a long time, definitely.
Yeah.
And then track 15 on side D is The Alchemy.
Love this name.
Which is an interesting one, Kind of divulge into that one a bit more.
Yeah, so Alchemy is a very interesting title because it's like a medieval chemistry, basically, which basically studied and attempted to convert different metals into gold. Basically, it was like making fake gold. That was the point of it. Obviously now it's become more of that. It's very esoteric and spiritual, but that is the main idea. So perhaps it could be a song about people trying to create false gold. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe that's
I once believed love would be burning red, but it's golden. But maybe
golden
gold was fool's gold. It wasn't all that it was.
Yes,
a forced kind of thing. I don't know. Alchemy is a very interesting title. I think it could hold a lot of hidden meaning behind it. It's a very interesting and complex area and science. So and philosophy.
Interesting. So, I love that. That sounds fun. That sounds really fun. And then track 16, which finishes off the kind of standard edition of the album, is Clara Bow, which again has lots of kind of backstory, I guess. Yeah,
so as we know, Taylor sometimes makes references to interesting figures of the past. Obviously, we have that reference that we've already commented to Elizabeth Taylor. We've had references to Rebecca Harkness, and now we have, supposedly,
even the lucky one.
Yeah, in the lucky one, we're not sure who it is, but it's also one of these interesting reference to big female characters. So yeah, Clara Bow, if it is making reference, which we guess it is, to the Clara Bow, basically she was an American actress, and she was very well known for her silent films, and then she was able to transition over to spoken, the first ever films that were like actually had people speaking in them. So she was an it girl. She was very, very popular in that day. However, again, also known for a bit of a rocky time in her marriage, should we say, to another actor, Rex Bell. They got married. Apparently she also did another film, Hoopla. It caused a rift between them, and then she kind of like disappeared. Yeah, I don't know what aspect of her life Taylor might want to zero in on.
Yeah, I think what's really interesting is obviously Taylor has an upcoming film that she's writing, producing, directing, all of the aboving. And I think what's really interesting is her delving into kind of film, even with like Lavender Haze, and then things with like Anti-Hero, they're like Everybody's a Sexy Baby, things like that. I feel like she's getting lots of references at the moment from film and older films. I feel like she's kind of seems to be harking back to like the golden age of Hollywood almost, and kind of looking back at lots of films. I'm not really saying it, you know, that's all I've got to say, but it's interesting how she's referencing that a lot.
It's very interesting, and I'm just checking out Clara Bow. Interesting quote. She said, "My life in Hollywood contained plenty of uproar. I'm sorry for a lot of it, but not awfully sorry. I never did anything to hurt anyone else. I made a place for myself on the screen, and you can do that by being Mrs. Alcott's idea of a little woman." So I don't know.
Very interesting.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect. Yeah, and obviously a closing track is always an interesting one anyway.
Yeah.
When you think of, you know, like we obviously ended with Mastermind, but then we had Dear Reader as kind of a slight end, but I still see Mastermind as kind of the official end. Dear Reader, yeah.
Dear Reader.
Yes.
Very interesting prequel to this all, honestly.
Yes. I'm not sure if that was maybe intentional.
I don't know, because
but
again,
it's definitely
big thing that Taylor made sure she referenced was that this album has been in the works for the past
2 years.
So she started this basically at the same time as ending off or working on Midnights.
Oh, 100%. I think you'll find it rolled. Yeah, I think it rolled. I think like You're Losing Me, which seems like the kind of end of the Midnights kind of working, if you know what I mean. Like, it seems like that maybe rolled into what then came. And maybe that's why it was left off of Midnights, because maybe it was seen as, that would be for the next thing or whatever. And then, God knows, but interesting anyways.
Yes.
And then obviously the physical edition, the deluxe CD so far that we have there is a 17th track, the bonus track for the CD, which is the manuscript, which we've kind of said our excitement for and seems interesting. Like, I'm getting the vibe of like ripping up the manuscript, kind of throwing out what she'd been told and what she'd expected. And, that's the vibe I'm thinking might potentially be.
Also, the aesthetic is very much like evidence from a crime base.
Yes, it is.
Artifacts, the name of the artifact, this, that, and the other, ... manuscript, ... You know what I mean? And I don't know, very, very like...
Even, and so I enter into evidence.
Exactly. There you go, there it is. And it also gives me hits different vibes. I traced the evidence.
Yes.
Made it make some sense. Found the artifacts, cried over a hat.
Yes.
Goodness. There's a lot going on.
Oh, I can't wait.
So intrigued.
Oh, there's so much.
Love these titles because they've got me very, very excited. Like you said with Midnights, I was excited but apprehensive because they didn't give me anything to go off of.
Yeah, it was quite hard. I think I've said to you, like, they were slightly Batman and like the mastermind vigilante shit. Like, it was just something that they were hard to kind of grasp what they were talking about, like Question.
It's funny because
that doesn't really give you anything.
Short titles, and these are extremely long titles. If you look at them, most of them are going to have to shorten into acronyms eventually because they are like 5 or 6 words long, which gives you a little bit of information in and of itself. If you read them all, it is like a poem on its own. So I guess they're given more information, so that already gives us kind of like a hint to what's coming.
Yes,
honestly,
and I think
so interesting.
It's so exciting, so fun. And I think what's also interesting to mention is the back cover. Obviously, how we found out the track list also has what I believe is a lyric, which is "I love you, it's ruining my life."
Oh, devastating! Oh,
I know. I can't believe it. And I love the back cover. Looks so cool. I'm really loving the design. The fact we've got like a logo.
Oh, I
like the TTPD. It looks so classy. Yes, it looks like an official stamp. And the fact that also like on the back it says like from the desk of Taylor Swift, which reminds me of her, the cards that she writes people.
Yeah.
Like whenever she sends a package and it says like from the desk of Taylor Swift or whatever.
The layering of that.
Yeah,
the layering of that
I'm
is
loving
interesting as well because it's very personal. We're departing away from, folklore and ever more coded moments.
Or even Midnights where it's, 13 previous sleepless nights.
I think we're up to date.
These are straight off, like she hasn't got that shit off her desk. It's gone straight from the desk, you know what I mean? Like she's literally written it and it's, there we are.
Oh, so interesting. Please do let us know all of your thoughts on all of this. Everything. The aesthetic, the names, which one is calling out to you, which ones are intriguing you the most, how you feel about all of this, because honestly, it's such a shock to the system to get all of this information so quickly and so suddenly. But I think there's still a lot more surprises to come. I do. Yes,
and I think while we're here as well, what does this mean for Eras Tour?
Yeah, that is the big question, isn't it?
Like,
I think
this is in the middle of Eras Tour. This is going to be released literally in the middle. Like, are we going to have like? Is there going to be an extra set for this? Like, and like the poster, it's not on the poster, it's not on the merch. Like, what?
Crazy.
Where is it?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways that this could go. I think the only thing we can truly do is wait it out and see how it goes. Some people are saying that maybe she'll cut other songs from different eras and then make a new little segment. Other people are thinking that it's just going to be kind of like slowly but surely performed during surprise segments, which is another interesting thought. I think it depends on a lot of things. It depends on the sound of this album. It depends on what Taylor's plans are long term. I do think we'll be hearing them one way or another somehow during the tour. But I think we play it by ear, honestly, and see what happens. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. I feel like I'm trying to think of other people that have done similar things. when they've released an album
Ed
slightly
Sheeran,
unexpectedly.
For example, he kind of
Yeah.
released a couple. Well, I'm not sure if it was both albums, but I know the Autumn Variations kind of came out in the middle of everything. He's been touring for almost the last, basically, 3 years non-stop anyway.
10 years, yeah.
So I know he kind of like paused some things and then did shows that were only that album, but that was separate from the main Mathematics tour.
Yeah.
And then kind of incorporated it as well. Harry Styles also has changed the set list as his tour has gone along, since it's stretched so far in time. He added new songs, took away other ones, kind of moved it around.
And maybe the Ed Sheeran thing, thinking about that, maybe Taylor might do like some more like low-key event, like City of Lover kind of vibe events that are, maybe smaller crowds, and maybe do some performances of these things. But yeah, that's the thing. I suppose her schedule is so insane.
Yeah.
But then, so I was thinking, other people that have, true, very true. But yeah, other people that have kind of done similar things is like Ariana Grande with Sweetener. Then she announced Thank You Next, but obviously that was not in the middle of tour.
No.
So it then became like a Sweetener Thank You Next thing. So I was thinking that's slightly different. The only other person that is slightly similar is Kelsey Ballerini. Okay. She obviously announced Subject to Change, then went on the Heart First tour, which is basically the Subject to Change tour. Then midway through released Rolling Up the Welcome Mat. And during the first part of tour, it was very much like she'd play one song off of it.
Right.
And then when I saw her, she kind of debuted one of the songs, and it was very much like that was it, like it was like one song. And then she realized the popularity, and it got bigger and bigger, that slowly it became like a mainstay in the set list, and the set list basically got reworked to add a couple. And now I believe she's kind of finished touring now, but towards the end of her kind of touring cycle, basically all of those songs were part of the set list. I'm intrigued, but the Eras tour is so different because it's so specific, and it's not like you can just be like, add that song there, because it's eras, like how are you going to pile in a whole era?
We're kind of like seeing the difference between these other artists. So, I don't know, because they are so specific, like, this is the era of this, then we move into the era of...
Exactly, yeah. We've got the red era, you can't just shove in a little song here.
Yeah, it's like, well, you're either going to... either next to the acoustic performances, a moment there, and another extra moment, or as part of the acoustic... That's how I'm seeing it at this point, but again, once we hear it, I think we'll be able to grasp, the feel for it a bit more, and be like, okay, so it leads more poppy... Maybe she'll have a moment and she'll replace this, that. So, yeah, interesting, though, to see and compare. If you guys keep up to date with some other artists and something similar has happened, for example, if any of you are Ed Sheeran fans and know more information than I do, because that was just off the top of my head, please let us know. We always respond to comments, or as much as we can. Sometimes we don't catch them all, but we do try and make sure that comments that do give us interesting information as well, if we've missed anything, we always pin them and make sure we've corrected our information if we do kind of like miss out on anything.
Gosh, there's so much to process, isn't there? It's bonkers. Like, I feel like I still haven't fully processed it, and I feel like we still haven't come off of the back of reacting and dealing with Midnights, reacting and dealing with Speak Now, reacting and dealing with 1989. Like, I feel like we've barely had...
It's just a big reaction.
Eras tour,
to everything every single night, which again, Eras tour right now from when we're recording is literally kicking off tomorrow again. So...
Oh my god, yeah. And so, yeah, God knows what on earth, because obviously, surely she's going to say something about the like, she can't just do the show and not mention the fact that she's announced an album, like, would she potentially debut some songs on the Eras tour, for the first time ever? She doesn't really do that, does she? But who's to say she might not, be like, here's a new one that you're going to hear from me.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or
for a massive
that's too
ride.
much.
Yeah, there's a lot going on at the moment. So we can only but sit tight, react as it comes, break down things as they come, as always. We will be here as your guides and as your hosts to all of the madness that is surely going to unfold. So hopefully this album seems like a great album to deep dive into, like kind of like the episode that we did for Rebecca Harkness. I would love to do an episode like that on Clara Bow, and kind of like go into her story and see. Let's let Taylor speak first, as always, and then we'll follow her lead. But definitely a lot of interesting ideas that could come out of this album. So with that, we have come to the end of this episode. Thank you very much for listening. Let us know how excited you are in the comments, because surely you are just as I don't know, shocked, surprised, and absolutely losing it like we are. But still, let us know if you like the episode. Please give it a like over on YouTube. If you're listening on Apple Music or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts, then you can always rate us, and so we know if you are enjoying these episodes. Other than that, you can follow us over on Instagram. Our handle is @SwiftlySpokenPodcast, so you can keep up to date with everything that will be coming up shortly. Thank you very much for listening, and we will speak to you very, very soon.